Good evening, everybody. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting just yet, my name is Ned Dale, and I am truly lucky to be the principal. As finishing my 10th year as principal, I've had the pleasure of kind of researching and doing a little bit of my own study about Ada Cosgrove and was able to share quite a bit of the artifacts that the family had dropped off to Spencerport. It's just an incredible work that our students have done, and I'm so thrilled that you're here and able to learn with us. I'd like to thank the families as well for joining us and also supporting us. First thank you goes out to Mrs. Page. What a great job of inspiring our students. And when we think about inspiring students, one of the missions for Spencerport is to inspire each and every student. And so when this project started, one of the young ladies to the right of me had a fever and was home, but she didn't want to miss the meeting. So we used FaceTime while she was sick to make sure that we could include her in the discussions. What a great use of technology to make sure she could keep learning even though she had a fever. So I want to introduce these three young ladies and again thank them as well as our students up front. Could we give them a little round of applause? I'd like to thank Molly Guzik, Natalie Glass, and Crystal Perez for just a job well done. They came with this idea and they have worked so hard on this project and they have recruited their friends for tonight. And again, their boards and learning were powerful. So I often say that I feel lucky to be the principal, and tonight especially so. Spencerport is an incredible district, and I have been here for 18 years and 10 as principal. So again, it is truly an honor to be principal. And again, please welcome the ladies.
Good evening, and thank you for coming to our presentation of the people we feel make Spencerport someplace really special. To begin, I'd like to introduce people involved with the presentation and then tell you a little bit about the whole project. There are three of us who are directors of the committee, so we get ready for this event. Also, be sure to save your applause to the end, and we will have all of our presenters and committee members come up on stage. My name is Natalie Glass. I am in 6th grade, and I'm a student here at Cosgrove, and I am in charge of the Organization and Planning Committee. My group worked on the program, the invitation, and all the things to make sure that this presentation runs smoothly tonight. I am the creator of the Bunsey presentation you will see tonight, but I also had many editors to make sure everything looked perfect. I would now like to introduce Miss Molly Guzik.
Hello, my name is Molly Guzik, and I'm in charge of our design committee. My group was in charge of making all the visuals, the collages, the boards you looked at in the lobby, and the slideshow. I was also an editor in the Bunsey presentation. I would now like to invite Crystal Perez up to the stage.
Hello, my name is Crystal Perez, and I am in charge of the writing committee. My group worked on the biographies, poems, and anything else needed to provide information about our people who make Spencerport someplace special. I also helped create the boards and edit the Bunsey presentations. First, we'd like to tell you about why we did this project. We are all part of the Spencerport family. We are connected to each other now and forever, and should be joined together with the story of our past. We wanted to find out more about who the people were, whose names are on our school buildings. We wanted to know who they were and what the story was. Why were they honored with their names on our buildings? They must have done something right, something really profound, something worth exploring, and something worth talking about. So we set out to get to know the names on our schools as people who we can learn from and embrace as a member of our Spencerport family. So let's get started. I would like to invite Andrew Stocker up to the stage.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Stocker, and I will be discussing Leo Bernabi's early life and some of his greatest achievements. Leo Bernabi Jr. was born on November 19, 1920, to parents Leo Sr. and Maria. Both of his parents immigrated to America from Italy. Like many other people who came to the United States and spoke another language, their names were recorded in different ways. You can see on the slide all the different ways his name was spelled. Mr. Bernabi grew up in South Fayette, Pennsylvania. He had 4 sisters. Mary, Evelyn, Nora, and Linda. He also had a brother named Ray. He loved his family very much. In addition to his last name being changed to Mr. Bernabi, had many titles in front of his name. When Mr. Bernabi was young, he joined the Navy and was in the Navy for 10 years, from 1944 to 1954. This means he served in both World War II and the Korean War. He became known as Lieutenant Bernabi. When Mr. Bernabi first came to Spencerport, he taught earth science and social studies teacher too. He didn't just teach students, he made them love learning. Mr. Bernabi went through 3 different colleges. He went to Indiana State, Brockport Teachers College, and finally Lawrence University in Sarasota, Florida. His highest college degree is a doctorate, so his new title is Dr. Bernabi. I would like now to invite Bella King up to the stage.
Dr. Bernabi is best known because he started the wrestling program here at Spencerport. He became known as Coach Bernabi. He led his team to many undefeated matches with an overall record of 41 wins, 11 losses, and 1 tie. He wanted his students and wrestlers to know if you want something, you can't be afraid. You go after it and you do it. Sometime later, Coach Bernabi was president of the State Board of Wrestling Officials. He was coach of the University of Rochester in 1960 and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2010. Furthermore, he had additional title changes while in Spencerport. He was a principal, assistant director, district principal, and lastly, superintendent. Dr. Leo Bernabi was an inspiration to all of Spencerport. I would now like to invite Molly Guzik to the stage.
Here are some fascinating facts we found out about Mr., Lieutenant, Dr. Coach Bernabi. In addition to all the last name and title changes, we cannot find out for sure what his middle initial is. Some news reports say Leo A. Bernabi, and some say Leo J. Bernabi. He was also known as Commander Bernabi when he took over command of the local naval post. Lastly, Leo Bernabi Jr. was an amazing golfer and also played soccer. Dr. Leo Bernabi earned his name on that building because he was honored and respected. Thank you, Leo Bernabi, for all your hard work in making Spencerport someplace special. I would now like to invite Emma Mahoney up to the stage.
Hello, my name is Emma, and on this wonderful night, I'm going to share with you what I have learned about Ada Cosgrove. Ada Mae Cosgrove was born March 19, 1887, and her mother Emily was an immigrant from England, and her father Patrick from Ireland. She had 9 siblings and went to school. Ada was a graduate of the Spencerport Union School. She went to college at the Brockport Normal School, which is now SUNY Brockport. She graduated with a teaching degree in 1904 and taught for 14 years in a one-room schoolhouse. In 1918, Miss Cosgrove began teaching in Spencerport. She taught almost everything from 3rd grade to high school. Miss Cosgrove was highly respected because she was loving and caring. According to one of her former students, Mayor Edwin Fosmar, she conducted the kind of class you look forward to. She was an excellent teacher. Miss Cosgrove was known to expect the very best from her students. In addition to teaching school, she was a member of the First Congregational Church for over 64 years and served on every board position. She participated in many fundraising events, always willing to help the needy. She also served as a trustee on the Farmers Library Board. I would now like to invite Natalie Glass back on stage.
Thank you, Emma. In addition to teaching, Miss Cosgrove was also vice principal and student council advisor. She served as PTA treasurer as well as vice president of the PTA. In 1949, Miss Cosgrove retired after 45 years of teaching. Miss Cosgrove had a school named after her because she taught more than just history. She taught her students about life. According to a colleague, Mr. E.J. Wilson, students used to call her Aunt Ada, but never to her face because that would have been disrespectful. Her Her students loved her not just as a teacher, but almost as if she was family. Miss Cosgrove is remembered for the way that she taught and inspired her students. Here are some fascinating facts about Miss Cosgrove. Miss Cosgrove was a vice president with Mr. Wilson. She volunteered to help the Red Cross War Fund campaign, a March of Dimes, and a luncheon to raise funds to benefit children with polio. She received numerous cards and letters from her former students living all the way over the United States until her 90th birthday. Ada Cosgrove was not just a role model for her students, but she is a role model for me, not just as a teacher, but as a female to look up to. Ada Cosgrove showed me that being female doesn't limit my opportunities. I think about how she was a female working every day in the early 1900s, and that must have been difficult for her. She was born in a time where women were totally equal, even though they still aren't fully equal. But that didn't stop her. She constantly volunteered for a lot of charities. She also was there to lend a hand to the less fortunate. She was very involved in her community, and she helped me to pursue my dream, and hopefully one day I can hold a high position in government just like hopefully she would. I would now like to re-invite Molly Guzik up to the stage.
Thank you, Natalie. It's time to share with you what I've learned about William Clayton Munn, Jr. Mr. Munn was born on February 27, 1924, in Lindenville, New York. His parents, William Clayton Munn, Sr., and Florence Plowman Munn, had 3 children, Lucille, Avis, and William. Bill Munn liked to play basketball, football, and baseball. He also liked playing the trombone. Mr. Munn joined the Boy Scouts and after many years became an Eagle Scout, which is a pretty big accomplishment. Eagle Scouts learn how to be leaders, and soon he became a scout leader, taking the troop camping in the Adirondacks. Mr. Munn went to college at the University of Pennsylvania. He also served in the Air Force as a pilot. He retired from the reserves as a major. Mr. Munn married his wife Audrey and had 3 children, Kathy, Mary, and William P. Munn. The family moved to Morningside Drive in Spencerport in 1948. He was known as a loving husband and a father. He was a role model for his family and to others as the kindest, most thoughtful gentleman a person could know. Now I'd like to invite Selkie Wilson up to the stage.
Mr. Munn owned a plumbing company called Rice and Watershed. He was dedicated to serving his community in many ways. He was an original member of the Spencerport Lions. He was an active member of the First Congregational Church, serving as a deacon, Sunday school teacher, and as a financial planner and member. He was on the Spencerport Village Planning Board, and he was president of the Spencerport Business Association, which is now known as the Chamber of Commerce. He was an inspiration to all the Spencerport community. Mr. Munn was a Spencerport board member from 1966 to 1975, and I'm president of the Board of Education from 1970 to 1975. He was a member of the Monroe Community Schools Board of Association. He was dedicated and committed to serving the Spencerport community. Mr. Munn was a determined man who definitely worked hard. I would now like to invite Courtney Hammerly to the stage.
William C. Munn believed in a program that brought young teachers from the South to complete their student teaching here in Spencerport. One of these young teachers was named Terry Taylor. Mr. Munn welcomed Terry into his home. Mr. Munn was instrumental in providing services and programs for children with disabilities. In addition, he was actively involved in developing Mumoko in the area. Mr. Munn had an incredible sense of humor. Thank you, William C. Munn, for your lifetime commitment in making Spencerport someplace special. Now I'd like to invite Rachel Caldron to the podium.
Terry Andrew Taylor was born August 2, 1946 in Mount Holly, New Jersey at Burlington Hospital. His parents were Reverend Leroy Gilpin Taylor and Rue Bertha Taylor. He and his older siblings, Charles, Barbara, and Bertha, grew up in Burlington, New Jersey, attending public school and practicing their Baptist religion regularly. One of Terry's favorite books was the Holy Bible. Mr. Taylor excelled at football and baseball, making the All-Stars on both teams at the age of 12. However, he also enjoyed reading, watching TV, and listening to music. His family encouraged him when it came to music. His mom always worked late hours to support their family. She was such an inspiration to him, and he loved her very much. He started to focus on music in the 4th grade. After his teacher gave him the last damaged trombone, he grew to love it and became passionate about it. He believed music was something to be shared. I would now like to invite Andrew Stocker to the podium. When he went away to college, Mr. Taylor learned how to play a lot of different instruments besides the trombone. However, the trombone always remained his favorite. He found jazz music and his appreciation for it grew. His favorite jazz musician was Johnny Hartman. While at college, he met his future wife, Ada. They married on April 19, 1969, and had a son and a daughter. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. influenced Mr. Taylor's life with his philosophy of nonviolent protest and forgiveness. Mr. Taylor strived to live in this manner and was known as a very patient man. In 1969, Mr. Taylor was a student teacher in Spencerport, and then he and his family settled in the area. I would now like to invite Emma Mahoney up to the stage.
Terry Taylor was the music teacher and band leader for almost 25 years in Spencerport. He taught in almost every school building. He was patient with his students, encouraging them to be the best they could be. He received several teaching awards, including the Walt Disney American Teacher Award for Outstanding Performing Arts Teacher of the Year in 1991. The whole band went on a trip with him to Hollywood, and they performed a song titled Americans We for more than 55 million viewers. When they came home, the Spencerport community threw a parade in his honor. Some fascinating facts about Terry Taylor include Mr. Taylor was an honor student, president of his college class in 1969, as well as president of the Student Government Association in 1969. Mr. Taylor was one of original 36 selected winners for the Disney American Teacher Award. There were 750 applicants total. Then he was chosen the Outstanding Teacher in the Performing Arts category in 1991. Here's Crystal.
Thank you, Emma. Terry Taylor was a very determined teacher. He was loved by his students. He said that it would be nice for the kids to perceive me as a good music teacher and band director, but more importantly, as a decent human being who cares. This quote said a lot about him and that he enjoyed music, but he wanted kids to know that he was a good person and didn't just put on a nice face when he went to work. Terry A. Taylor is an inspiration to me, and he is one of the people to help make Spencerport someplace special. I would now like to invite Rachel Cauldron to the stage.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm going to talk about John T. Trowbridge, who was an amazing writer. He was born on September 8, 1827, right here in Ogden, near the village, and lived in a log cabin that his father built. His parents were Winsor Stone Trowbridge and Rebecca Willie Trowbridge. They moved here from Connecticut, traveling by oxen pulling her sleigh. Once they arrived, they built their home using wooden pegs as nails and started a farm. John was the 8th of 9 children. John went to a one-room schoolhouse on the corner of Spencerport Road and Gillette Road. You can still see the water pump at the corner today. John loved to play outside, but he also liked to read. He always carried a book around with him, even when he was doing his chores around the farm. He had always had a passion to write. One of his classroom assignments was published in the Rochester Republican when he was 16 years old. He moved away, first to Illinois and Rockport, where he worked to earn money for college. He became a teacher and worked on a farm again. After, he tried to go to college in Brockport, but didn't last a day. He was too advanced after all that reading he did on his own.
Then he moved to New York City to try to earn money as a writer. Eventually, he settled in Boston, got married, and had children. And he did publish more than 40 books in his lifetime. However, he was most famous for his poem, Darius Green and His Flying Machine. This poem tells a lot about him as a poet and as a person. I would now like to re-invite Molly Guzik up to the stage.
Mr. Trowbridge was born and raised in Ogden, near Spencer's Basin, as the village was called then. He became a most notable Spencerport alumnus who graduated from the Spencerport schools. Mr. Trowbridge visited the library often to borrow books and appreciated and supported the Ogden Library and its community members. Some fascinating facts about John T. Trowbridge include Mr. Trowbridge has an ancestor named Thomas Trowbridge, who immigrated to America in 1634 and settled in Connecticut in 1639. Mr. Trowbridge had trouble with his eyes his entire life. He was treated a couple times, but the remedies didn't work. Young John witnessed a classmate bring in the first friction matches and light one in class. This caused great wonder and awe in everyone. John T. Trowbridge was an inspiration to me because he never stopped doing what he loved. He was imaginative, diligent, and focused, and he was very determined. I would now like to re-invite Bella King up to the stage.
I found E.J. Wilson to be an inspiration to me. Ellsworth J. Wilson never let anything stop him. Ellsworth Jared Wilson was born on September 25, 1909, in Leroy, New York. His parents were Jared E. Wilson and Anna McCall Wilson. They had 4 children, two daughters named Pauline and Eleanor, and 2 sons named Homer and Ellsworth. Ellsworth lived on a dairy farm near Caledonia, and he had to milk the cows. He went to a one-room schoolhouse in Leroy. E.J. was a farm boy, and the Italian immigrants were called townies. The farm boys and townies did not get along well, but Ellsworth survived. Ellsworth had to take care of the machinery, and one day, when he tried to start the car, the hand crank went backwards and broke his arm. Even though it was a setback, he still went on doing his daily tasks. After school, Ellsworth enlisted in the Army and served in World War II by working in the Signal Corps. That was just the start of his young life. When he came home, E.J. Wilson went to University of Rochester. He studied science and played football. It was UR that got him the nickname Tiny Wilson. He also got married to a lovely lady named May Snyder, and they both enjoyed reading together. His wife was very encouraging, especially when he was in administration. The Wilsons had 2 sons, Mike and John. I would now like to invite Amelia Mattia up to the stage.
Thank you, Bella. Mr. Wilson would walk every day around his neighborhood. He loved physical activity and believed it was important. He also went to church every week, which also was important to him. The Wilsons lived in South Union Street and always had a vegetable garden. The neighbor next door let E.J. plant a garden in their yard, too. He grew beet greens, onions, corn, and cabbage, and lots of flowers. He loved science and working in nature. Mr. Wilson started teaching in Spencerport in 1932. E.J. was head of science department. He went to school at the University of Albany and became an administrator. First he was assistant principal, then district principal, which is the same as superintendent now. In 1947, Ogden, Spencerport had one-room schoolhouses that were centralized and named the Spencerport Central School District under the leadership of E.J. Wilson. The district grew from the K-12 Trowbridge School to 7 different schools in the district. When he started, there were 590 students, and when he retired in 1971, there were 4,500 students. I would now like to invite Crystal up to the stage.
We found out some fascinating facts about E.J. Wilson. In 1931, Mr. Wilson actually graduated with a math degree, but the only position available in Spencerport was as a science teacher. He took it because he loved science that much. In 1932, he was one of the only teachers that had a car. Mr. Wilson decided to go to the Olympics in Lake Placid and took 2 other teachers with him on that trip. He was very generous. While all the construction was going on in the district, Mr. Wilson made sure all the schools had enough room for playgrounds and ball fields in their natural surroundings as much as possible. He was an inspiration to the students and to the people of Spencerport. I would now like to re-invite Natalie Glass up to the stage.
Thank you, Crystal. As you can see, each of these people deserve to be honored. Each of these people we got to know through our research and were dedicated and devoted, compassionate, brilliant, and innovative. Each one was committed to serving our Spencerport community and certainly helped make Spencerport someplace special. We are so glad you came to our event and hope you learned something new tonight. I would like to invite the other directors up to the stage, and they're going to introduce their teams and committees.
Members of the Tech Committee are Amelia Mattia, Bella King, Courtney Hammerly, Gabby Nitty, Andrew Stocker, and Frank Callahan.
Members of the Writing Committee are Megan Doan, Rachel Cauldron, and Avery Monsees.
Members of the Organization Committee are Selkie Wilson, Aaron Coe, Emma Mahoney, and Connor Morgan, who unfortunately could not make it tonight.
Now let's give a round of applause for Natalie Glass, our Organization Director.
And let's also give it up for our other 2 directors, Crystal and Molly Guzik. And this is the team that you saw in the lobby tonight and that was presenting this evening. We would like to thank all the people who helped us with our project. Miss Olaco, Miss Bowerman, Miss Breon, Miss Bush, Miss Dustin, Miss Guy, Miss Sauter, Miss Zona, Miss Carol Coburn, and Miss Page, and the Cosgrove Lots for helping us with our refreshments. Thank you everyone for coming tonight, and we'll see you in the lobby.